what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. Duce Chestnut hitting the portal.
Oh, that's news.
For real.
Yeah, for real, though.
As we
publicly
said the other day, the story that we heard, again, rumor, grain of salt, all that normal preface. The story that we had heard back during football season, which please just trust me when I say don't trust any college football news until it actually happens. Engage with it, have fun with it, but recognize nobody actually ever knows what's true except for the person who lived it, right? And I can speak to that. So I've had many of you yell at me constantly about January 9th, 2011, right? Or 2012, whatever. So like I've suffered it firsthand. But what we had heard is that Duce Chestnut, when he was hurt, was like, hey, okay, team's going away game. Oh, I want to go visit my family, okay? And then he went and visited other schools.
Yeah.
Well, the thing, and then so they call Bell. She's like, hey, thanks a lot. He's like, what? Huh? So very funny. But why this matters is whenever I had told people that, the thing they say is like, well, Duce Chestnut already transferred. He can't transfer again, right? Well, in a shocking kind of commentary on how little the NCAA matters and how much things have been eroded, Jake, kind of snuck into the news cycle. The NCAA approved all multi-time transfers for next season. I'll read an excerpt from The Athletic. Quote, multi-time transfers in football and other fall sports who transfer before the end of the 23-24 academic calendar will be immediately eligible to participate in 24-25. Now, of course, this comes a couple weeks after a West Virginia court basically ruled against the NCAA in a case like this, citing Sherman antitrust laws, which, again, that's been, the kind of revelation of the past couple of years is, the NCAA is a monopoly, right? Like, and they have undue illegal power and they need to be broken up. So the big point of this is that now, essentially, you have unlimited transfers in college sports, which feels a step too far, but again, until you completely shatter the NCAA and rework it into something new, you will run into problems like this because it's all the NCAA can do because they're not employees. There is no CBA. You can't restrict their movement any sort of way because nothing's been agreed to in that sort of way. And so, now anybody that transferred can go ahead and do so again.
Yeah, it's really not shocking. A lot of people were transferring however many times they wanted to, and they'd get a waiver, and nobody's waiver really ever got declined.
Or if they did, everybody wrote such a stink about it, like Tez Walker or something that eventually the NCAA had to capitulate anyway.
How many times, like, all these quarterbacks, like JT Daniels comes to mind. He played for, like, 4 different schools and 4 different years. And
Career finally over.
Yeah, he's medical. He decided to hang him up. But a lot of quarterbacks in a lot of different positions, they were transferring however many times they wanted, and they would get the waiver, like I said. And once this came about, I know there was players like Jalen Cook at LSU that was waiting to be eligible, but anytime the court gets involved with the NCAA, they must have the worst legal team of all time because they get terrified.
So I would say this, though. I'm not even going to blame their lawyers, Jake. It's just the fact that as an organization, that like I talked about this at length over the summer, and it's boring conversation. So I don't think anybody cared. It didn't do any numbers. But like as an organization, the NCAA has been illegal since its inception. Like there's been, if you applied how the NCAA operates to any other sector of American business or culture, it's flatly illegal.
Yeah.
And we just accepted it forever, like because we all did. And then the second finally player empowerment, and as you said, people actually started bringing this to court, and I always go back to that we read excerpts. I remember the Justice Kavanaugh letter to the NCAA, which basically said exactly what I'm saying right now. Like, so you could probably be the best lawyer in the world, but if they got DNA evidence that your client was at the scene and fingerprints and everything, he did it. The NCAA did it.
But they don't even try. 100%. But they don't even once the courts get involved, they don't even try. They just shut down now. So it's not that shocking. And as soon as this West Virginia judge made that decision, I don't know if it was this show or another show that I said, I'm like, okay, well, that's it. That's going to be a thing. They're not going to really have an argument, or they're not going to fight it. And a couple of weeks down the road, we're going to have whenever you want to transfer, whenever. Open transfers, however many times you want to do it. Honestly, though, it was kind of 85% that way already.
Yeah.
Like no one was really getting denied for a waiver.
Well, and that's where like somebody Dwayne D in the chat says transferring every year is the dooming of college football. College football is now worse than professional, and that's the death knell for it. Well, okay, so I understand that immediate reaction, right? When I first heard about this West Virginia story, what I said as well was like, man, that kind of sucks because, like, I actually like where they're at right now, right? The free one-time transfer, and then you earn a second one. Like, I think that's a pretty good system. But if you actually think about it, Jake, how many people that you care about will be transferring any more than they were previously, right? Like in the past, you may lose a really good player,
yeah,
but you're going to lose that guy anyway to a one-time transfer, right? There's very rarely going to be a guy who transfers in, is awesome, and then transfers out.
Right.
So, like, it's actually...
certainly the place that we care about.
Yeah, the market's going to regulate itself in a lot of ways here. So, like, I would not be... as Jake said, this was basically already happening. It feels more extreme than it is if you actually sit down and critically think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point you just laid out. At a place like LSU, if someone transfers in, if they transfer out, it's probably because they call it like it is. They did something off the field probably.
Yeah,
They weren't the player that you thought they were going to be. I mean, something had to happen. You're not going to have a place like LSU, someone come in from somewhere else, be a star, and then try to go somewhere else.
Yes. Now you might have great hopes for them, and they come in and they never pan out, and then they leave. Sure, look at Denver Harris, look at Duce Chestnut. But yeah, I actually don't think this is as big of a deal as it sounds like. Though, again, that is why Duce Chestnut can now transfer and be immediately eligible. So LSU now, I mean, and it's crazy to think about the NCAA. Like, Charlie Baker was a senator, right?
A governor.
A governor?
Yeah.
Well, it takes the hubris of a politician to think that you could take over this NCAA thing and make it work in this modern age. Yeah. That's something Dan Carlin used to talk about on the Common Sense podcast where he stopped doing it, where it just kind of talking about how being a politician takes so much irrational self-confidence where you're like, I know I did some of these bad things, but it doesn't matter if anybody digs them up, or I know this or that will get exposed, but it doesn't matter. Like, you just have to really think you're the man, you're untouchable, and you're capable of anything, which, again, must serve Charlie Baker very well, although in this case maybe it betrayed him because he knew all of this about Justice Kavanaugh and the NCAA and what was going to be required, and he still dove headfirst in, and it's been a bit of a disaster. Like, I now see why Mark Emmert just didn't do anything, because you can't. So just sit back and collect the checks. Emmert's actually kind of genius. And, well, again, there's only one way this ends. It's what Chip Kelly talks about. Eventually, you have to shatter the NCAA when it comes to football, especially create your own independent league. Hopefully, you could then return these other schools to their more traditional conferences or something like it. But it does not end with the NCAA regaining its power of old.
No, I think the NCAA eventually down the road, they'll handle baseball and they'll handle men's basketball will be their biggest sport. They'll handle women's basketball and softball and all the sports that we love. But football will be its own thing. And football, the way they crown a champion already exists on its own.
Yeah.
College football playoff is not tied to the NCAA in any way. And so they already do it to crown a champion. It's not that far away from them just being their own thing already. Like the TV partners control college football already. The NCAA doesn't.
True.
And so go ahead, break off from the NCAA. Love it or hate it, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like that's what's probably going to happen. Have a players union, right? And just figure some things out that needed to be figured out a long time ago that you've been trying to hold on to that really you had no grip on.
Yeah, unfortunately for kids, I feel like once CBAs get involved, that's when earning actually can get capped. I wonder if now's the golden age. But maybe not, because they're going to get TV revenue.
I kind of think now
but they're also going to get TV revenue
as far as the
and
free
other
market.
Things.
The money might change because, money just grows. That's the way it plays. But right now, like the free market, it might get capped, but they have to have, I think, some structure in a players union.
Gold rush feel right now.
It does. And if you're in the height of it right now, good on you.
Yes.
But like they probably need some protection, and they need some people in the portal as well that are, advising them, and somebody they can like reach out to and just, and that's not for like the top 1% because they've got the best of the best, but it's like those fringe starters from Power 5 teams that are in the conference right now, SEC, Big Ten, whatever, maybe they're going somewhere else and they're getting sold a bill of goods. Hey, you're worth this much. It's like, are you really though? And like, who's handling that for you?
The market will decide. Coming up next here, and also agents are charging pretty exorbitant fees.
Yes.
Compared to not entertainment agents, these are normal fees for entertainment agents. For athletic agents, they're all juiced up because they're not.
That's actually a really good point that we've not really brought up because they can't be the sports agent that charges 3%. They are all marketing agents with air quotes there that can charge 10%, 12%, 15%, 20%. In some cases, and that's what they're charging because technically, even though they are your sports agent, they're marketing agents because that's the way they have to title themselves for it to be legal.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.